एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू अवर यूट्यूब चैनल। और आज का जो हम टॉपिक स्टार्ट करेंगे वो है फंडामेंटल राइट्स। तो मैंने इस टॉपिक को 3 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करा है, तो हम 3 पार्ट्स में फंडामेंटल राइट्स को खत्म करेंगे लक्ष्मीकांत से। Before that, an Academy UPSC Championship was started, and they were providing you with free mock test series under UPSC CSE Prelims 2020 to 21 Paper 1 JS. You will also get a chance to meet with UPSC CSE 2019 toppers, top and academy educators, and subscription scholarship also. And it was conducted on 30th August, September, 13th September, 20th September, and 27th September. As we know that our exams are scheduled for next month, so if you want to complete your preparation under UPSC CSE 2020, you can start with an academy. So this will help to clear some of your concepts also and doubts regarding certain topics. Now this one subscription has like unlimited benefits, like you can learn from your home, you have unlimited access to all courses, we have top educators, we have full syllabus coverage, double doubt clearing session, live test series, study material would be given to every student in the form of PDF format, answer writing sessions would be also be taking place under our mentor and guidance. Then this is a one-stop solution like for complete UPSC CSE preparation, because we have structured batches with top educators, batches in Hindi English bilingual, late night as well as 2 year batches, 100% syllabus coverage, vast range of optional prelims wings test series, dedicated doubt clearing classes, daily current affairs practice, SAR answer writing practice, along, and we'll also provide you with your performance analysis on the daily basis, and we are also prepared you for the interview also. So this will help every UPSC student. Now UPSC CSE complete batch preparation courses has already started from 21st September 2020. Under 4 batches we have. First is the bilingual batch, in which the medium of instruction is in both Hindi and English. Second is in Hindi and third is in English. And the fourth batch is also in English, that is for UPSC CSE 2020 to 2022. So we have 4 different batch courses for you guys, and we are also providing you with ultimate revision booster prelims batch course that is started in both bilingual and English, and you can enroll for this now, and this is completely free for every student, and the duration is from 5th to 30th September, and we are giving you free live classes from Monday to Friday, and in that we'll take your sectional quizzes. So if you subscribe now, then you are getting 10% off. You just need to apply this code SIMPLEYT, and it's a very easy code, and you can get subscription. You'll get 10% off on the subscription. Now we are also providing you with the daily current affair test series practice that is completely free, and it will be conducted on 7:30, 20 question, 20 minutes, and will consist of 40 marks, and we will also provide you with your test analysis also, and the correct answer are in green color, and the incorrect are in red color, and we are providing you with your percentile also along with topper and your class. So this will really help you in looking at your lows and comparing your performances with other students also. So if you really like our channel, then you can like, subscribe and share, and you can join on YouTube, Telegram and Facebook, in whichever social networking site you are active on. So let's start. So basically, as we all know that the fundamental rights are like given to every citizens of our country, and they are like part of and they are enshrined in our constitution under part 3 from articles from 12 to 35. Now, in this regard, the framers of Constitution basically derived inspiration from the Constitution of USA, from the Bill of Rights. Now, the Part 3 of our Constitution has been like rightly described as Magna Carta of India also, because it contains a very long and comprehensive list of justiciable fundamental rights. And in fact, as we all know that the fundamental rights in our Constitution are much more elaborative and big as compared to the constitution of any other country, including USA. The fundamental rights, as we all know, are guaranteed by the constitution to all person, like without any discrimination, and they uphold some of the values like equality of all individual, dignity, and the larger public interest, along with the unity of our country. Now, the fundamental rights are basically meant to promote the idea of political democracy, because they like prevent the establishment of an authoritarian and despotic rule in our country, and they try to protect the liberties and freedom of every citizen against the invasion by the state. They also like operate as a limitations on the tyranny of the executive and arbitrary laws of the legislature. So basically it means that they basically target towards establishing a government of laws and not of men. And the fundamental rights are named because they are like guaranteed and protected by the constitution itself, which are very fundamental in the law of land. And they're fundamental because in the sense that they're very essential for everyone, for everyone's overall development in terms of material, intellectual, moral and spiritual of individuals. So originally, as we know, that our constitution had like seven, constitution provided with the seven fundamental rights, right? The right to equality from articles 14 to 18, right to freedom from 19 to 22, right to exploitation from 23 to 24, right to freedom of religion, cultural education rights, right to property, and right to constitutional remedies. But as we know that the right to property was like deleted from our list and of the fundamental rights, and under the 44th amendment in 1978, and it is made a legal right under the article 300A in part 12 of our constitution. So presently, as we know that we have our six fundamental rights out of seven. And let's understand the features of the fundamental rights. Like first, that some are available because they are available to only to citizens, while some are like applicable to all the person, whether they are citizens, foreigners, aliens, or any legal person like corporation and company. And they're not just absolute but qualified in nature, because the state can also like impose a reasonable restrictions on them. However, as we have seen that whether such restrictions are reasonable or not are not to be are basically decided by the courts, and they try to like strike a balance between the rights of individual and those of society as a whole, between individual liberty and the social control. Now, as we know that most of them are basically available against arbitrary action of the state, but there are many like few exceptions also over there that are against the state actions and the actions of private individual. So when we talk about the rights that are available against the state action are basically violated by the private individual, there is no other constitutional remedies, and but only the ordinary legal remedies. So as we know that the some of them are negative in character, whereas some place limitation on the authority of the state. So while others are like positive in nature, that are basically talking about the privileges of the person. And then we can talk about that the fundamental rights as justiciable nature, as we all know that it can allow a person to move to various courts for their reinforcement if and when they are violated. Now they are very well defended and guaranteed by the Supreme Court also. So hence the aggrieved person can also directly go to the Supreme Court, not necessarily by the appeal against the judgment of the High Court. Now they're not the sacrosanct or permanent, as we know the Parliament can curtail or repeal them, and only by a constitutional amendment act and not by any ordinary act. Moreover, there has been done without affecting the basic structure of the constitution. Now, like we know that they can suspend during the national emergency, except the articles number 20 to 21. Further, the six rights that are guaranteed under Article 19 can also be suspended during the emergency that has been declared on the grounds of war, external and internal emergency, like external aggression, and not just ground on the armed rebellion that is known as internal emergency. Now, the scope of operation that is limited by Article 31A, that is the saving of laws that are providing for acquisition of state and etc. And this Article number 31B, that is basically validation of certain law acts and regulations that are included in the ninth schedule. And this Article 31C said that it will actually saving of laws giving effect to certain directive principles. Now, their application are to the members of armed forces, paramilitary forces, police force, intelligence agency, and analogous services can also restrict and abrogated by the Parliament itself under Article 33, and their application can be restricted while the martial law is in the force in any area. Martial law basically means a military law that has been imposed in that state under certain abnormal condition to restore the law and order under Article 34. So it is very different from the imposition of the national emergency. So as we know that most of them are directly enforceable like self-executor, while few of them can also be enforced on the basis of law that are made into giving effect to them. Such law can also be made only by the parliament and not by the state legislature, so that uniformity is there throughout the country under Article 35. Now let's talk about the definition of the state. Now the term state has been used like in different provisions that are concerning to the fundamental rights, and hence the Article 12 has been defined in the term purpose of Part 3. So according to that, basically state includes one, government and parliament of India, that is the executive and legislature organs of union government, government and legislature of the state, that means executive legislature both, all the local authorities, municipalities, panchayat, district court, improvement trust, and etc. All the local authority that are statutory or not, like LIC, ONGC, SAIL, and etc. Therefore, the state has been like defined in a wider sense so that it includes all its agencies, and the action of these the actions of these agencies can also be challenged in the court if they are violating any of the fundamental rights of the citizen. And according to the Supreme Court, even a private body or an agency working as an instrument of the state basically falls under the meaning of state under Article 12. Now let's talk about the laws inconsistent with the fundamental rights. So as we know, the Article 13 like clearly declares that all laws are inconsistent or with the derogation of any of the fundamental right shall be void. In other words, it basically means expressly that it provides the doctrinal judicial review that we have covered in one of our video, what a procedure and how can we use the judicial review. And this power has also be like conferred on the like Supreme Court under Article 32 and the High Courts under Article 226, that can also declare a law as unconstitutional, invalid on the ground of contravention of any fundamental rights. Now the term law in Article 13 basically means for a wider connotation like the permanent laws that are enacted by parliament or the state legislature, temporary laws like ordinances that are passed by president or state governors, statutory instrument in the state in the nature of delegated legislation, executive legislation like law, like order, by law, then by law, rule, regulation, or any notification. So basically, non-legislative source of law are also there, like the custom or the usage of having the force of law. Therefore, we can also say not only just legislation, but any of the following above can also be challenged in the court if they are found violating any of the fundamental rights, and therefore they can be declared as void. Now we can also say that further that the Article 13 basically declares that the constitutional amendment is not a law and hence it cannot be challenged. However, the Supreme Court held that in the Keshwanand Bharti case in 1973 that the constitutional amendment can be challenged on the ground that if it violates one of the fundamental rights that forms the basic structure of the constitution, therefore it can also declare that as void also. Now let's start with the right to equality. Now let's talk about the first right over here. Equal protection before law. As we all know, the Article 14 says that India shall not deny any person equality before law and the equal protection of law within the territory of India. So basically, this provisions like confers with the rights of all person, whether like citizens or foreigners. Moreover, the word person includes a legal person, statutory corporation companies, registered societies, or any other legal type person. The concept of equality before law is a British origin, while the concept of equal protection of law is a American has been taken from American Constitution, and these two concepts are very different from each other. The first concept basically means that there is like absence of any other special privileges in the favor of any person, the equal subjection of all person to the law, ordinary law of the land that has been administered by the ordinary law courts, and no person, like whether rich or poor, high or low, official or or non-official, is above the law. So basically, now let's talk about the second part of law, second concept that has been taken from America, that it means equality of treatment under all circumstances, both to the privilege conferred and liabilities that are imposed by the laws. The similar application are there for the same laws to all the person who are similarly situated, and like they should be treated alike without any discrimination. Therefore, the former is a negative concept, while the later concept is like a positive one. However, both of them actually aim to establish a capacity, equality of legal status, opportunity, and justice. So, the Supreme Court held that whether the equals or unequals are treated differently under Article 14 does not apply. While the Article 14 like forbids the class legislation, it permits the reasonable classification of persons, object, and transaction by the law. But the classification like should not be arbitrary, artificial, or visive. Rather, it should be based on intelligible differential and substantial distinction. Now, the rule of law, the concept of equality before law, is also an element of the rule of law that was propounded by A.V. Dicey, the British jurist. So this concept has like three elements. First, absence of arbitrary power. That means no person can be punished except the breach of law. Second, equality of before law. That every subjection, that is the each subjection of all citizens, whether rich or poor, official or non-official, to the ordinary law of land are amends are administered by the ordinary law courts. The primacy of the rights of the individual, that is the constitution, is also like result of the rights of individual as defined and enforced by the courts of law rather than the constitution being the source of the individual. So the first and second elements are very applicable to our Indian system, whereas the third is not. So the Indian system of constitution is also a source of individual rights, and the Supreme Court has been held the rule of law has been embodied in Article 14 as the basic structure of the Constitution. Therefore, it cannot be destroyed even by any amendment. Now let's talk about the exceptions of equality. So basically, the rule of equality before law is not just absolute in certain circumstances. Let's read about that. First, the President of India and the Governor of State enjoy the following immunities under Article 361. The president or the governor is not answerable to any court or exercises. Then no criminal proceeding shall be instituted or continued against the president or the governor in court during his term of office. No process or has been there for the arrest and imprisonment of the president or the governor shall be issued from any court during his term of office. No civil proceedings against the president or governor shall be instituted during the term of office in any court, irrespective of any act done by him due to his impersonal capacity, or whether before and after he entered the office, until the expiration of 2 months of next after the notice has been delivered to him. Then no person shall be liable to any civil and criminal proceedings in any court in respect to the publication in newspaper or substantially true report of any proceeding in either of the houses of parliament or either of house of legislature. So no member of court shall also be like liable for any proceedings in the court in respect of anything said or any vote given to him in the parliament or any committee under Article 105. Then no member of the legislature of the state shall also be liable for any proceedings in any court in respect to anything said or any vote given by him in the legislature or any committee. Therefore, then Article 31C is also like exception to Article 14, that it provides the laws that has been made by the state for implementing the directive principle that are contained in clause B and C under Article 39 cannot be challenged on the ground that they are violative to Article 14. And the foreign sovereigns, ruler, ambassadors, diplomats enjoy certain immunities from the civil and criminal proceedings also. Now the UNO and its agencies also enjoy diplomatic immunity. Now let's talk about prohibition or discrimination on certain grounds. First, that Article 15 basically provides that the state shall not discriminate any of its citizens on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, gender, place of birth. these words are like very crucial in the provision are discrimination and only. So the word discrimination means that it is to make an adverse distinction with regard to and to distinguish unfavorable from others, and the use of word only like connotates with the discrimination on the grounds is not prohibited. And the second provision of article 15 says that no citizen shall be subjected to any disability, liability, restriction, or condition on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth with regard to the access to various shops, public restaurants, hotels, places of entertainment, use of well, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, etc. And this provision basically prohibits the discrimination both by the state and the private individual, and the former provision prohibits the discrimination only by state. There are three exceptions to this general law of discrimination. First, the state is permitted to make any special like provision for women, children, for example, reservation of seats in the local body for their representation. The state is permitted to have any special provision for the advancement of any socially, economic, and educationally backward class of the citizen for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, like the reservation and the fees concessions for them. The state is also like empowered to make any special provision for the advancement of any socially educationally backward class of citizens also in regarding to the admission of the educational institution including the private educational where aided and unaided by the state. The last provision that has been added in the under the 93rd amendment of 2005 was that in this order to give effect to this provision, the center also enacted central educational institutions, the Reservation and Admission Act in 2006, providing 24/7% quota to candidates belonging to OBCs in all central higher institutions, including the IITs and the IIMs. So basically, on April 2008, the Supreme Court also upheld the validity of both Amendment Act and the OBC Quota Act, but the court directed central government to exclude the creamy layer advanced section among the OBCs while implementing the laws. And now let's understand what is creamy layer. So basically, children in the following different categories which belong to creamy layer will not get any benefit of this quota, like if they host if the person are holding any constitutional post like president, PP, judges, or any etc. Group A or class I and group B class 2 officers of all India central state services and employees holding equivalent post in PSUs, banks, insurance organization, universities, and etc. Then person who are in rank of colonel or any other army post that they are there in navy, air force, or paramilitary forces, and the professional like doctors, lawyers, engineer, artists, authors, also consult are also there. Then the person engaged in trade, business, and industry, people holding agricultural land above like certain limit, and the vacant land or buildings in urban areas. Then we have person having the gross annual income more than 6 lakh processing from the wealth. Then equality of opportunity in the public employment. Then under article 16 basically provides the equality of opportunity for all citizens like in the matter of employment or appointment to any office under the state, and no citizen can be discriminated against or eligible for any employment or the office like under the state on the grounds of only religion, race, caste, sex, or decent place of birth or residence. There are three exceptions to this general law of equality of opportunity in public employment. Is that the parliament can prescribe the residence as a condition for certain employment or appointment in the state in under or in union territory or any local body of other authority, as the public employment that is required in 95 expired in 1974. There is no such provision made by the state except Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The state can provide reservation of appointments or posts in favor of any backward class that has been in not adequately represented. Then a law can also like provide the incumbent of any office that are relating to the religious denominational institution or a member that is governing the body should belong to the particular religion or domination. Now let's talk about the Mandal Commission and the aftermath. Basically, in 1979, we can say the Morarji Desai government appointed appointed the second backward classes commission under the chairmanship of BP Mandal, as we all know, a member of parliament in the terms of Article 340 of the Constitution, to investigate the condition of socially and education backward classes of our country, to measure the advancement. And the commission like submitted a report in 1980 and identified the three 740 castes as socially and economically backward classes. Now, this constituted nearly 52% of the population, excluding the SCs and STs. Commission recommended for reservation of 20% of government jobs to them, and the total reservation amounts to 50%. It was after 10 years, and 9 BP Singh declared the reservation of 27% of government job for OBC, and again in 1991, Narasimha Rao basically introduced the two changes, that is preferences of poor sections and OBCs, and the reservation for another 10% of quotas for poorer, economically backward section of the higher caste who are not covered by any existing scheme of reservation. Now, in the famous Mandal case in 1992, the scope and the extent of Article 16 basically it provides with the reservation of jobs in favor of the backward classes that has been examined in the Supreme Court. Though the court has also rejected some of the additional reservation of 10% of poorer section of the higher caste, that has upheld the constitutional validity of 27% reservation for OBCs in certain conditions, like the advanced section of OBCs should be excluded, no reservation in promotion, and reservation should be confined to initial appointment only. The total served quota should not exceed the 50% except in some ordinary situations. This rule should only applied every year. The carry forward rule in case of unfilled or backlog is valid, and it should not violate 50% rule. A permanent statutory body should also establish to inquire all its complaint over inclusion or under inclusion of list of OBC. Now, with regard to all the rulings of the Supreme Court, the government has taken like the actions, like the like Nam Nandan committee was also appointed to identify the creamy layer of the OBCs, and it submitted its report in 1993 with the acceptable. Then we know that in order to like nullify the ruling, in order to nullify for the backward classes was established in 1993 was an act of parliament. Considers it actually tries to notify the backward purpose of the job reservation, and in order to nullify this record, we have reservation promotion under 77th amendment was also enacted in 1995, and again in 85th amendment of 2000. In 85 amendment of 2001, it also provides for the constitutional seniorities in the case of promotion and all. So basically all these have been used, and the ruling also regarding the backlog has also been used to vacancies that has been nullified under 81st amendment act of 2000, and it added under the new provision like article 16 empowers the state to fill the unfilled reservation vacancies, and all that has been like provided for the separate vacancies to be filled under this. And then we can talk about that there needs to be like up to the total number of vacancies or reservations can be 50% and all, and not like above that. Then we can also see under the 76th amendment, we can see in 1994 has placed the Tamil Nadu Reservation Act of 1994 in the 9th schedule to protect it from the judicial review by providing 69% of reservation, far exceeding from 50%. Now, the abolition of untouchability under Article 17, basically it abolishes untouchabilities, and it forbids like any form of practice that has been there, and the enforcement of any disability arising out of untouchability shall also be offence that is be punishable with according to the law. Now, in 1976, we can see untouchability offences in the Act 1955 has been completely comprehensible and amendment and renamed in the protection of civil rights in 1955 to enlarge the scope and make it with the penal provisions more stringent, and this act defines a civil right as a right for occurring to a person by reason of abolition of untouchability under Article 17 of the Constitution. Now, the term untouchability has not been like defined in the Constitution or in the Act, but however, the Mysore High Court has held the subject of Article 17 is not just untouchability in literal, but the practice that has been developed historically in the country. It refers to all the social disabilities that has been imposed on the certain classes of the person by the reason of their birth and certain caste. Therefore, it does not cover the social boycott of few individual or its exclusion from religious services. Under this Protection of Civil Rights Act in 1995, we can also see the offences committed on the grounds of untouchability are also punishable either by imprisonment of 6 months or fine up to 500 or both. And we can see these act basically declares the following act of offense like preventing any person from entering place of worship, justifying untouchability on traditional religion, philosophical and other grounds, then denying the access to shop, hotel, places of entertainment, insulting a person belonging to scheduled caste on the ground of untouchability, refusing to admit person in hospital, education institution, hostels that has been established for all the public benefit, preaching untouchability directly or indirectly, and refusing to sell goods or render services to any person. So, therefore, the Supreme Court held that this right under Article 17 should be available against a private individual also, and it is the constitutional obligation of state to take necessary action to ensure this right is not violated. Now let's talk about the abolition of titles. So under Article 18, we can see the abolition of titles can be made under the four provision that has been like regarded to first that it prohibits states from giving any title except the military or academic distinction of anybody, whether a person or foreigner. It prohibits the citizen of India from accepting any title from the foreign state, and a foreigner holding any office or profit of trust under the state cannot accept any title from any foreign state without the consent of the president. No citizen of foreign can also hold any title for their own benefits. So therefore, like we can say, it's very clear the heritage title, like we can see Maharaja, Raj Bahadur, Rai Bahadur, and etc., are basically conferred by the colonial states, which are banned under Article 18 against the principle of equal status of all. So in 1996, the Supreme Court held the constitutional validity of the national awards like Bharat Ratna, Padma Bhushan, and Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri. So this is ruled out to be awards don't amount to the titles within the meaning of article within the meaning of article within the meaning of this article itself that has been mandated, but however it is ruled that they should not use as surfaces or prefix in the name of their bodies. And this national award was instituted in 1954, and then the government basically discontinued them, but they were again revived in 1980 under Indira Gandhi. So now let's talk about the right to freedom. So basically in the protection of there are six rights. First in Article 19 we can say that it guarantees like all the citizens the six rights like right to freedom of speech and expression, right to assemble peacefully without arms, right to form organizations, then right to move freely throughout the country, right to reside in any part or settle in any part of the territory, right to practice any provision or carry out any occupation like trade, businesses. So originally we can see Article 19 contained these seven rights, but with the right acquire basically hold and dispose basically hold and dispose the state action and not the private individuals. Moreover, we can see the rights are available only to citizen and the shareholder of company, but not to any foreigner also. So the state can impose a reasonable restriction on these all six rights. So we have like covered everything. If you really like my video, you can like, subscribe and share, and thank you so much.